books. Yes, Jasmine? Humanization. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Make sure you've got that. And so you can come back to this section here. All of your authors are saying, remember, that education should make us all better human beings at some level. It should make us more enlightened, and it should encourage us to rethink our positions, to think very carefully about our place in the world, and then to do something about it. Nicely done, you guys. All right, second column, page 24. Let's look at these 4 common characteristics. These are the ones I want you to know for yourselves. You don't need to memorize them. You need to be able to make connections between these 4 and your other authors. So please make sure you've got them. Put a star next to them. Okay, let's go down the list. Number 1, regard for the dignity of the person. Who else talks about this? That education should be about regard for the dignity of the person.
Hooks.
Hooks, good. And? What's that?
Freire.
Freire, absolutely, positively. It's that humanization process. Would Edmondson agree? What do you think? Can we tease that apart? Crystal, what do you think about that? He would agree. He says it's going to be a slog, right? Because we're battling persona, ads, and culture. But that's what we should probably be concerned with, right? Would Einstein agree? Yeah, I think so. Because he wants us all to be good members of the social community we live in. Good. All right, how about number 2, you guys? Academic excellence and lifelong learning. Hooks, Freire, Edmondson, especially with academic excellence. Remember what Freire says, or remember what Edmondson says, right? A classroom should not be dummied down. The work should not be dummied down, right? Academic excellence means academic excellence, not, you get 100% because the teacher's having a bad day, right? Broke her finger in class or something like that, right? That's not the way it should be. So, academic excellence, maybe you could put Edmondson above that, so you could think about how you could make that connection. And then lifelong learning, right? All of your authors are interested in some way, shape, or form about how education should focus our lives, get us to keep asking questions. How about number 3, you guys? Education of the whole person, body, mind, and spirit. Hooks. Good. And that's where I think, Sayre, you're right. The notion of holistic education that terminology would help. How about Einstein? Yes, no, or on what levels? Bree, you're shaking your head. What do you think?
Yeah, because he wants you to improve yourself so that you can better other people.
All right, and for him, it's not about memorizing formulas. It's about being an independent thinker. Would Freire agree? Body, mind, and spirit. Yeah. Definitely the body and spirit part, or the mind and spirit part. I don't know that any of our authors are interested in having us being able to run a 5K. God hope that's not the case. But we've got that. Would Edmondson agree? Yes, no, maybe so. What are how can we tease out that connection? Rebecca, you want to take it?
I think he would agree. I think that's what he wants his students to be like, to
Yeah.
get more engaged.
More engaged. He would like them to
Yeah.
be that way. Yeah, it's more of an aspiration in his text, but you're dead right. Nicely done. Okay, you guys, very good. Now what Sullivan says, is that she would add 2 more characteristics. And here's where she departs from her other authors, right? If we take a look on the second column, I want you guys to tell me how this is different. Look at that number 5 there. She says, I would add another one. Religious learning and spiritual development through frequent courses in Christian theology and scriptures, courses in other religions, Catholic liturgical celebrations, and other religious events. How is she different? And I swear this isn't a trick question. Yeah, she's much more interested in religious development. Obviously, she's a Sister of Mercy, right? But you might put a star next to this, because remember all along we've been talking about how we want to tease out the separations between these articles. So, for example, Hooks is interested in which population, you guys? Students, teachers, schools? Good. Teachers mostly, right? She brings in the students, but teachers mostly. How about Einstein? Schools. Very good. Even though he brings in students and teachers, schools is his primary interest. How about Edmondson? Students mostly. Even though he talks about teachers, he's more worried about the students. Very, very good. Freire.
Student teachers.
Students and teachers, right? For him, that's got to be something that is a shared consideration. And then what do you think Sullivan would say?
Religious.
Yeah, both, right? You know, teachers and students. Even though, so the populations are somewhat similar and somewhat different, whereas Einstein is interested in society and the common good. What is Freire interested in? Political revolution, right? Very, very different. And Hooks, would Hooks be interested in political revolution? No, not so much, but what is she interested in, you guys?
Like a better experience.
Aha! Spiritual growth and enlightenment. Nicely done. She's more interested in that internal process. Now, she does hope that this internalization, this betterment of this internal process will create change elsewhere. But she's more interested in the spiritualization and the spiritual growth of the individual. Yes.
Wait, what did you say Einstein was more focused on?
Einstein wants us to be good citizens. Yeah, he wants us to be good members of the community, Rebecca, so that we can give to the community, right? Where's Edmondson? Remember what Edmondson says on that last page? You remember? Yes, he's more interested in democracy, but he's not as hardcore as Freire is. Where Freire is saying, get your pitchforks and your flaming torches and let's make some change, right? Edmondson, remember, he uses that concept, one-dimensional people. He wants us to not be one-dimensional people, right? We don't want to be those people. We do want to be the kind of individuals that can advance the society in which we live, and he uses that word democracy, doesn't he? Nicely done, you guys. Okay. And of course, with Sullivan, she's more interested in religious development as well as social development. That's how she's primarily different, right? She has that cast in a very different way. Good job, you guys. Okay. How about page 25, second column? I want you to tell me who this sounds like to you. Second column, page 25. Let's look at the section after the big long quote, okay? Merciful behavior does not mean that an institution has to lower its academic or grading standards, its dorm rules, or its employee expectations or requirements. Rather, what is involved is the manner of thinking and acting at all levels, the atmosphere of collegial life, the tenor of the campus, the mutual relations, the willingness to listen to and experience the other side of situations, the language, the look in the eyes, and the presence of compassion. Edmondson, doesn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, never think the Sisters of Mercy are these sweet little nuns that will let anything slide. They're tough, okay? They've always been at the forefront of social innovation. And in order to be that, you've got to have your A game. You've got to be smart, right? You've got to be educated. You've got to know your business. So what she's saying here is that we shouldn't, with all this conversation of mercy and compassion and religion, should not blind us that we still have to have academic standards at our institution. So that's Edmondson. Nicely done. How about Hooks? Can you make the connection to Hooks here? What do you think? Anyone want to try it? Yeah, Naomi, go ahead.
She says like her classes shouldn't be like therapy sessions, so like you don't go easy on them.
Okay,
Like,
good.
lower
Good.
expectations.
Absolutely. Yeah, and the expectations. How about the latter part? Yeah.
Where it says like mutual relations,
Yeah.
the willingness to listen to
Good.
each other, like she thinks that like her job is to listen to the students as well.
Okay. Lovely job. So we've got Edmondson, we've got Hooks here. I think probably a lot of our authors would agree with this, right? Freire would definitely say this. I don't think Freire is advocating that we should all be dumbing down our classes either, do you? I think he says if we're going to have members of the revolution, then they better be the smartest people in the room, right? Okay, could we make the connection to Einstein? What do you think?
He really wants smart people too.
Yeah, he does want. And you know what? He's very interested in the motivations of why people learn, right? So you don't want overly competitive people all the time because they're not really going to be about bettering themselves, right? They're just going to want to compete. And you don't want people who are fearful all the time, right? So when she's talking about the tenor of the campus, the atmosphere, mutual relations, the presence of compassion, all of that kind of ties into what he's saying about the pleasure of work, yeah? and the way that we should go about trying to enjoy but also create relationships in our text. Good job, guys. All right, let's look on 26. Can we look at the section right before number 7? It's that paragraph right before number 7. Let's have a look. Quarter of the way down that little paragraph, she says, if students do not see evidences of the characteristics of a Mercy education in their teacher's example as well as their words, such characteristics will only be half affirmed by it. The personnel of a true Mercy educational institution will never be too old to learn and to teach by example more than by precept. Who does that sound like? Hooks. Very nicely done. Okay. So it's the idea, you guys, that idea of good example ties in real closely with engaged pedagogy. And you guys, it also ties closely in with Freire. Let's not forget that Freire says in the problem-posing model of education, the teachers learn from the students and the students learn from the teachers. Yeah? So this also ties into Freire, and you want to make sure you're not losing sight of that. Okay, and if we just look at number 7, can I just have you circle it as a way of making sense of this passage? The strenuous effort to give good example by modeling personally and corporately all the values it seeks to promote through its educational and other endeavors. And this is Edmondson, this is Hooks, this is Freire, it's even Einstein, right? If you want to create good, strong, smart students who are engaged, then you've got to be that yourself in terms of the teaching. Nicely done, you guys. Okay, what questions or concerns do you have about Sullivan that I can help you with? Is there anything here? It's pretty straightforward. Feels pretty good? Well, let me give you a rundown of what the exam's going to look like, okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to get 2 quote identifies. 2 quote identifies. Ladies and gentlemen, please do me a favor. Don't lose points on this one. When you're getting a quote and I'm asking you to tell me what the quote says, I'm looking for a paraphrase, okay? So what you want to make sure you're not doing is moving to other parts of the essay and saying, so-and-so is interested in this and so-and-so is interested in that. Stay focused on the quote you've given. That's how you get full points. And another thing, don't lose points because you haven't memorized the titles of the friggin' text that you're reading. Don't be that person. Nobody likes that person, okay? Don't lose points for that. All right, 2 quote identifies. 1 multiple choice. 3 true and false. And you know those are going to be sneaky, so please read them carefully, okay? 2 quotes, 1 multiple choice, 3 true and false, 7 short answers. So for a total of 13 questions. All right, so 3 true and false, 7 short answers. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to say. Your Norton Field Guide, for Christ's sake, is on the exam. So if you're not answering that question, you are losing 5 points off your exam right off the bat. You don't want that, okay? Don't lock yourself out of a really good grade because you don't have time to look at your field guide, okay? In between the chocolate bunnies and the Easter egg hunts, all right, at some point you're going to want to get away from your family. So do yourself a favor and get your Norton Field Guide out and take a look. Okay?
This exam 3.
Any other questions you have for me? Now's your time to ask.
For the Norton Field Guide, what?
Yes. Okay, make sure in the Norton Field Guide, if there's a definition of the argument essay, make sure you're paying attention to it. If in the Norton Field Guide they're giving you models of how to organize an argument essay, you might want to have a look at that. If there is a specific definition that the Norton Field Guide is offering you, take a look at that. I will only quiz you on the stuff we talked about. So all of the readings and the examples that they're giving you, that won't be on the exam, and you needn't waste your time on it, okay? But if there's something specific that we went over in class, make sure you're checking your notes. What other questions do you have? Is there anything in your reading that you're not understanding, or you want to go over again? How can I help? I want to remind you as you're paging through, you guys remember that alphabetical list in Freire's text about all the evil things that the banking model does? Remember those? It's in the middle of his essay. It's like A through J. Yeah, you know those? You don't have to memorize those, but I do want you to be able to look at them and find concrete connections